Hello everybody and welcome to Gene's Reviews from a regular dude, where I do trailer reactions, I react to YouTube videos, I review YouTube channels, occasionally I'll review a movie, but really, I just do whatever the hell I want. Hello everybody and welcome to Gene's Reviews from a regular dude, down in the basement. Today we're going to do one for Most Amazing Top 10. This is the top 10 terrifying signals from the afterlife they don't want you to hear. I don't know who they mean by they, but we'll see maybe.
From dreams to strange photographs, all the way to phone calls and Facebook notifications. Here are the top 10 terrifying signals from the afterlife they don't want you to hear. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the dream. This story comes from someone who goes by the online username BillG13. They wrote about some tragic losses they had in their life, but they then go on to write about a dream they had in which everything seemed to make a little more sense. They wrote, quote, "My mother died when I was 5. I was raised by her twin sister, my Aunt Jean, who passed away several years later. Then, 10 years to the day my Aunt Jean died, I dreamt that I was at home with her as she excitedly waited for something. Just then, there was a woman at the door. Aunt Jean ran up to the woman and hugged her. The woman took Aunt Jean's hand and said, quote, 'Let's go.' I never saw the woman's face, only the back of her head. All I know is Aunt Jean was so happy to go with this visitor. Later on, it dawned on me that the visitor was her twin sister, my mother. She was taking her onto the next stage of her journey." While this story is terribly sad, the way this story ends is definitely hauntingly beautiful. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Perfume. This is a story that was posted online by someone whose grandfather had passed away, but their grandmother was still alive. They wrote, quote, "A couple of weeks ago I had a vivid dream that I was having lunch with my late grandfather. Before we departed, he handed me a box of Chanel No. 5.
I'm wondering if this is going to be they smell the perfume, because I've heard of that happening a lot. It happened with my aunt, with her grandmother. After her grandmother passed, she smelled her perfume really strong. And she was in a different state and everything. And so she knew that something was wrong.
Perfume and told me to make sure I give it to my grandma for her birthday. When I woke up, I told my mom about the dream. She asked if I knew that my grandma's birthday was that week and that was her favorite perfume. I didn't. Apparently my grandpa always gave it to her on her birthday and I had no idea. Honestly, while that does sound like a little creepy and eerie, I feel like it would also be so comforting. I hope their grandma enjoyed their birthday gift that year." In our number 8 spot today, we have the notification.
I don't find it creepy. I find it comforting. Let me know what you think about it. I think it's actually pretty cool.
This is a story about how technology and social media may sometimes be a dark and twisted place, but sometimes there is a small glimmer of light in our ever-increasing technological world. This story comes from someone online, and I couldn't find their name, but their story goes, quote, "My mom, Betty Jo, had just passed away, and so I had been carrying her phone around with me after to get numbers and receive calls from loved ones. Later that day, after having been around the phone for hours, I got an update on my phone from Facebook saying Betty Jo was nearby. Anytime when she had been near me before, I had gotten the notification immediately. So since it didn't go off for a few hours, it just felt like it was her way of saying, yes, I'm gone, but don't worry, I'm still nearby." This story serves as a reminder that we all process and grieve in different ways, and sometimes we just need a sign that everything is gonna be alright. In our number 7 spot today, we have the photographs. You know when you take a photo or a video and you can see a little orb flying around and everyone says it's a ghost? Well, this story is like that, but with an eerie twist. This story comes from someone named Sarah, and they wrote, quote, "I have a brother who passed away before I was born. After I graduated high school, I went on a trip to Europe. My friends and I climbed Mount Pilatus in Switzerland and decided to take pictures at the top. I took pictures of all of my friends in the same spot, but when it came time for them to take my picture, they kept saying there was a weird glare in every shot. There was. Nothing seemed to make it go away. When I finally arrived home and showed my mom the pictures, she said she was convinced the light glare was my brother connecting with me when I was the closest to heaven I'd ever been." We all have our different beliefs and ideas of what happens when someone passes away, and while we may not all agree, I hope this mom and the storyteller found some comfort in this answer to the photo mystery. In our number 6 spot today, we have the accident. This story comes from someone who is called Bryn Castle, and they tell a terrifying story but it seems as though they had a guardian angel looking out for them all the while. They wrote, quote, "My best friend was killed in a car accident our senior year of high school, and I truly believe he saved my life from beyond the grave. 6 months after he died, I was in a car crash eerily similar to the one that killed him. I could have easily been killed, but somehow I walked away without a scratch, even though my car was destroyed. Turned out his necklace had been hanging from my rearview mirror, only for me to find it after my accident. This story is crazy. I wonder if this is merely a coincidence, or if this really was her friend looking out for her. Either way, I'm glad she's okay and was able to find some comfort in such a terrible time." In our number 5
I have a story that I'm going to tell you at the end.
spot today, we have groceries. We've talked about photos today, we've talked about guardian angels and dreams, but sometimes we have to remember that if someone is sending us a sign, it might come in what we would consider bizarre ways, even sometimes in the form of groceries. This story comes from someone called Kimberly, and they wrote, quote, "In my entire 36 years on the planet, not a day had gone by in which I hadn't seen my grandma or at least spoken to her on the phone. Well, right after she died, I was at the grocery store because as we were planning her funeral, of course a huge snowstorm was in the forecast, and I was sent out to stock up on groceries. I went to buy a bag of brown sugar, and the expiration date happened to be her birthday, 11/4. Then I went to buy some cookies, and the expiration date was my grandfather's birthday, 8/27. Okay, then I went to buy some brownie bites and put them back because I noticed they had expired. I walked a few steps, stopped, then went back and picked up the bag again. The brownie bites had expired 1/26, which was the date my grandfather died. I took this as a clear sign that my grandparents were together in heaven. Honestly, I can't remember anyone's birthday, and I never check expiration dates, so I feel like if this were me, I would have missed every single sign.
I would have missed it all.
It's clear her grandparents knew her well enough to know she'd be able to put all of the pieces together to get their message across.
I would have missed
in
every
our number
bit
4
of
spot
that.
today, we have the phone call. This is a story that comes from someone who goes by the username Sarah L43B602D2E, and they wrote about a strange occurrence that involved them and their stepsister. They wrote, quote, "My stepdad passed away a little over 2 years ago. Last summer, my stepsister and I each received a phone call from him, one from his residence and one from the place where he passed. When we answered, there was no one there. After reaching out to those places, no one could account for the calls made to us. At first, I think this likely would have been a pretty frightening scenario, but after everything settled down, I hope they found it as a sign of him contacting them both. Maybe a message to send his love, or perhaps something to just let them know that he was okay and thinking about them." In our number 3 spot today, we have the messenger. If someone unexpectedly passed away, we would all want some sort of message or sign from them just to let us know they're alright, and that may be something that this person got. The user Kaylin K3 wrote, quote, "When I was 23, my boyfriend passed in a car accident. A year or so later, I was waiting tables when I saw a guy come in and eat alone. He asked me for my name and got kind of visibly uncomfortable after. Then, after he left, I got a phone call from a former coworker saying that a friend of his just left the restaurant and told me to walk outside to my car. When I did, there was a note on it about a guy in a red hat standing outside my car. My boyfriend always wore a red hat. The note briefly mentioned that my customer from earlier sometimes had spirits contact him and that a guy in the hat was trying to reach me. And what's more, the note said things that no one else besides my boyfriend would have known." At first read, I thought this story was going in a way different direction, but what a way better ending. That would be a very strange and conflicting feeling to be in this kind of a scenario, but I hope that the storyteller and this clairvoyant man were able to reconnect later and get some more messages across. In our number 2 spot today, we have the warning. This is a story that someone says is a sign from their late grandmother, and little did they know at the time, it was a warning for what was to come. The person who wrote this story goes by the username Buttercup2018, and they wrote, quote, "One night I had the most vivid dream that I was at a birthday party and my late grandma was there. She was all dressed up and she was younger and vivacious. My grandma was holding 2 little twins, a boy and a girl, both with curly hair. There was a number 1 candle on both birthday cakes and everyone was singing happy birthday. But then my grandmother kept asking, 'Where is he?' over and over again, referring to my now ex-husband. I woke up in tears. 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. They both have curly hair. My ex and I split up right before their first birthday, and he no longer has contact with me or the kids. That dream was an absolute warning. I still get chills." That's so crazy. Maybe it's a sign, maybe it was a premonition, but either way, that's pretty wild. In our number 1 spot today, we have the guardian angel. This is another eerie story that shows this person just might have had a guardian angel looking over them in the midst of a great loss. They go by the username Marissa Lins, and they wrote, "When I was 20, my my friends and I got together and got drunk. When we were all driving home, we had a designated driver, none of us were wearing our seatbelts, and we got hit by a truck. The driver was drunk and speeding, but miraculously, no one was hurt. This was around 2:00 a.m. The next day, I had a gut feeling that my grandma died. My mom called me in the morning to tell me that sadly, she did. Out of curiosity, I asked her what time she passed away. She said around 2 a.m. I know it sounds crazy, but I firmly believe my grandma was my guardian angel that night and that she died in my place. I miss her every day and will always be grateful for her and for saving my life. I cannot imagine what a whirlwind of emotions that would be to experience all of those traumatic things in one day, but it's clear what a fantastic impact her grandmother had on her life, and that is an immeasurable gift. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thank you so much for checking it out. I've been your host.
That was pretty cool. I liked that video quite a bit. I got a couple stories to tell you, and both of them involve my sister. One was, she used to work at this restaurant, which was actually in the canyon in Logan, Utah. I don't even think it's open anymore. But she used to ride her bike up into the canyon to work, and then she'd ride her bike home. Well, she was coming home one night, and it was dark and everything, and she accidentally rode her bike into the canal. There's a canal there, and my grandmother had passed away like right before that, not long before it at all. She drove her bike into the canal, and my sister doesn't know how to swim, and she said she actually felt somebody grab her and pull her out of the water. And we went back there the next day and got her glasses and everything, but yeah, she said that she actually felt someone pick her up out of the water and get her on the shore. And I believe it was my grandmother. And another thing, as a lot of you know, my mom passed away back in November. And while my sister had to watch her die, and there wasn't nothing she could do to help her, well, some hunting dogs actually found my sister and were like running around the van barking at her and stuff like that. And so the hunter called the Forest Service or whatever, and they came up on ATVs and finally got my sister out and everything. And the woman on the ATV told my sister, "That's really weird. My cell phone was at 50% and now it's at 0. And I don't know how I lost all this power so quickly, you know." And so they drove down the hill, and as they got my sister into the truck, after they got off the hill and everything, the woman got her cell phone out and it was back up to 50% again. And she remarked to my sister, it's back up. It's back up to 50%. Now, in my mind, that was my mom making sure that my sister made it. That's what I want to believe. It sounds realistic to me. I mean, you hear all these stories about spirits zapping energy out of cell phones and out of cameras and stuff like that. Maybe that's what happened. Anyways, let's change things a little bit now and tell a joke. If you're ever lonely, just dim all the lights, put on a horror movie, and pretty soon you won't feel alone anymore. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hashtag #MeanGene, all that fun stuff. And if you like this video, tell all your friends, leave a comment down below. And if you didn't like it, then just shut up. And I will see you next time.